Never felt more like singing the blues. City win, United lose. Huge result in the Premier League. Manchester City dismantling, destroying, humiliating, humbling, whatever adjective you would like to use. No, verb, sorry. Verbs are doing words. In the Manchester derby. In today's stream, what we are going to be doing is analysing the game, having a chat about it. As you guys know, these are sit-down, chat, live post-mortems. Will be laid back, chilled out chat. I want lots of messages from you guys. I want us to be engaging. This is a conversation at the end of the day. Otherwise, it would just be me talking into a camera. So get your comments coming in. You don't need to do super chats for your messages to come up on the screen. Don't you worry about that. I want to include as many people as I can. Shout out to LB for the redirect. What a beautiful human being. And listen to the judge. Leave a like on the video, the stream, to help support me. If you like my content, if you don't like my content, don't leave a like. But if you're here, I assume you do. Guys, we battered them, quite frankly. What we're going to be doing today, as I say, is we're going to be analysing the match. What were the main talking points? Did City play very well? Did United just play very badly? Or am I not giving United enough credit? Did they actually play quite well? And were City just too much for them? The answer to that is no. Spoilers, United were very bad. But that, as I say, is what we're going to be discussing today. Hello, we've got Jack, who says a funky badge. I don't know what that's in reference to. Sawig says, honestly, did anybody expect that win? We'll be chatting about that. Rashford scored and gave up, says none. I've got a lot to say about Marcus Rashford. A goal can really save your life as a footballer. Thank you so much, Slicky. Alvarez played well. Ribeiro, we'll get onto Alvarez as well, who I don't think he played in midfield. Yes, this is my treble winning kit, by the way. I thought I'd don it for the derby. Let's start with the lineup, shall we? That's probably the best place to start. I was a bit concerned the Doku was starting. If you've been following me for like the past few weeks, then you know that I'm of the view that in the bigger games, without Grealish being available, I don't really want to see Doku in the bigger games. I think that Nunes in recent weeks has been very good on the left, and I really wanted him to start actually, or even Oscar Bob. However, he did start, and he was fine. I think he was fine in the game. And let's talk about that first half now, shall we? United scored very early on, and it was really annoying because, in my opinion, United were very bad in this game. And that goal, it was a wonder goal, wonder strike, absolutely. You can maybe question, should Ake drop deeper? Should Diaz be dropping deeper to stop the punt from Onana in the first place? But at the end of the day, it is just a really fantastic strike from Rashford. I think you've just got to leave it at that. But the reason why that was so annoying was because, quite frankly, United didn't deserve anything from that game. They didn't deserve to score. Eric, thank you so much for becoming a Nabinho Ultra. Welcome to the Ultras Club. We love to see that, mate. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Enjoy your loyalty badge and emotes. Yeah, United were not good in the game, quite frankly. I'd love to see the data and the stats in respect of how many times they lost the ball. We didn't even need to put them under that much pressure. They just kept giving it to us. It was really odd. Teams will come to the Etihad and they will defend really deep, like Spurs did it, for example. They actually defended deep for once when they came to the Etihad. But the difference with Spurs was that when they played out from the back and tried to get out of, our press high up the pitch, they were able to formulate a couple passes and actually get out of the press. United just couldn't do it. They kept giving it away and kept turning over the ball, and it was really funny. And as I say, they offered nothing. They basically played like prime Tony Pulis Stoke in terms of just getting everyone behind the ball and not even really trying to play football or engage. So that goal, the reason why it was so frustrating was because it just allowed them to play even deeper than usual. We knew they were going to come and play a low block, but that was lower than I thought they were going to play, to be honest with you. Rashford's positioning was interesting. I thought he was going to play as a striker, even though he's not a striker, but Højlund's obviously out. He did play more so on the left, which I guess makes sense because he isn't very good up top. But for the most part, outside of that one shot that he had, Rashford was bad in the game. I actually think I messaged Gasky, my Man United friend, and we both agree that he was actually abysmal in the game. The things a goal can do to save you. But let's talk about City now, shall we? I actually thought we played better in that first half, to be honest. Be interested to hear what you guys think. Which half did we play better in? Don't worry about the scoreline. Don't worry about the fact that, you know, we lost 1-0 in the first half and then technically won the second half 3-0. I actually think that overall we actually played better. We created so many clear-cut chances. That Foden 1v1, for example. So many opportunities where De Bruyne and Rodri were able to run onto it, either on the edge of the box or just inside it. And obviously, on the stroke of half-time, the most insane miss I've ever seen Haaland partake in. I just couldn't believe what I was watching there, to be honest. You can't legislate for that, as like Guardiola can't expect Haaland, who just scored 5 against Luton, to then just turn around and, as I say, just like miss a total open net. That was very unusual. But that being said, I did think we were very good in the first half. Limited them to nothing outside of the Rashford goal, which again is like a 1 in 50 chance. Like, is he ever going to score another goal like that this season, or has he this season? Almost definitely not. And then from a City perspective, we created. But let's touch on Doku, shall we? Because I feel like that was a main battleground, and that's why I didn't really want to see Doku start, because I've watched basically every single United game this season in the Premier League. I think Dallow's been their best player. The right back for United. I think he's certainly been their best defender. I actually think he's been their best player overall. So I didn't think the sort of like where we should have stationed the 1v1 situation should have been on our left, their right, because defensively, as I say, he has been very good this season. So I thought that was a bit unusual. And in my opinion, Doku did struggle for the most part in that first half, and just in the game generally. He was getting into some dangerous areas. But again, it was the lack of end product in respect of the crosses and in respect of the decision making. Too many times he would give away the ball and create a turnover for United to go the other way. Thankfully, United did nothing with those turnovers because they were really bad, as I say. So I actually thought that whilst Pep got the team right for the most part, again, for me, that was one battleground which shouldn't have tried to, take place. A left winger for us, who struggled in the big games outside of Liverpool at home, versus United's best defender this season. I thought that was a bit of an unusual decision from Pep. Ultimately, as we know, it didn't actually matter. In that first half, I didn't see enough from Foden. He did have that really good 1v1 chance, but he was being played too much like a touchline winger in that first half. I think that's fair to say. I'd love to know the touches for Foden compared to the first and second. My instinct would be he had many more in the second half compared to the first. We didn't really get him on the ball. He drew a couple fouls from Lindelof, but outside of that, there wasn't really too much going on. Our midfield was incredibly secure, though. That helps when United didn't really want to try and play football. Gary Neville made a point on comms that... what did he say? He said something along the lines of, United have packed the midfield. When the lineups get ready, it was like United are going to be packing the midfield. But that didn't really do anything for them. They didn't have any control of the midfield. So that was all City. De Bruyne was very wasteful, just on another note. But yeah, that was the first half. Second half, I feel like we created less clear-cut chances, but maybe just due to the sort of freer nature of our front 4/front 5 allowed us to be more deadly in terms of, Foden, and obviously Foden was the best player on the pitch. Foden, he pops up on the right, he pops up on the left, he pops up in the middle, he pops up deep. I think that was maybe the key difference. And in fact, in the second goal, he's literally playing left wing for Foden's second goal. So that was really nice to see, as I say. I'm just going to get into some comments here. That I have been neglecting. Walker walked back with his hand up. Says Lear, don't know what that's in reference to. Rahina says, do you still prefer Doku, or is it just not it? I'm losing patience with him. In the biggest games, Rahina, as I've discussed, I don't think he was bad in this game. Not by any means. There were some good moments, but it was the weird crosses. That's the thing, we kept crossing it in over and over and over again. And unless it's a really pinpoint accurate cross, or unless it's like the cross which we had for the Haaland tap-in, where it's actually a diagonal which is then crossed in, so that's how you're creating that space and separation. The crossing isn't going to work realistically when all United wants to do is pack the box and defend. So we had to do that. We had to do that. Onana is the only one of them I'll give any credit. After that, says Jack, yeah, he did do good in terms of his shot stopping, absolutely. Here's some Did United. Yes, they are indeed. Walker should have tried better to track Fernandes. Got too confident thinking Fernandes was offside, says Greg. That's an interesting take. I'll have to have another look there. First half was better. Yeah, I had Real Madrid semi-final flashbacks. I thought we were really good in that first half, absolutely. Obviously, we was good in the second half as well, but I thought the first half was definitely better, in my opinion. Foden, the best player in the first half despite his miss, says Abu. I'll go along with that, yeah. Rodri's now unbeaten his last 15 matches. That is insane. Bob would be better on the Docker on the left. I agree, Carnivore. In those games, I want Bob to start on the left, and Gordon also agrees with that. We need a good crosser. We've got, in my opinion, the best crosser in the world in Kevin De Bruyne. But if the opposition team don't want to play football and all they want to do is defend, then unless it's pinpoint accurate, which is hard, as I say, when Haaland's surrounded by however many players, it's tricky to score, from those crosses, as I say, especially when all they want to do is defend. We've got over 200 people watching this stream, which is fantastic. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please leave a like on the stream if you are enjoying it. Even if you're not enjoying it, leave a like on the stream and on the video so that I know to make more of these post-mortems for you guys. So yeah, that was the first half. Second half, it did seem like this was going to be that sort of game, because it was just one of those days, wasn't it? We've had it a few times this season where, in my opinion, City have been the better team, like comfortably been the better team, and we haven't got our just rewards. I think of the game against Liverpool. I think of the game against Spurs. I think of the game against Crystal Palace. All three of those games we dropped points in. Thank you for following, Stephen. But in my opinion, we were the better side, and it was shaping up. It was shaping up like that sort of game where United were offering nothing. They got their wonder goal, low probability goal. Lucky's a harsh word, so I'll say low probability. And they weren't earning the win at that point. They weren't even earning a draw. Their defending was fine in moments, but they were still giving us lots of chances. And it did seem like it was going to be a case where, right, we're either, to break this deadlock, we're either going to need a penalty or we're going to need some sort of wonder strike of our own. That's how United scored, because nothing was going our way. Like, our players were just like missing sitters, etc. Up steps the best player on the pitch. One of the best players in the Premier League this season. Definitely top 5. I think you could definitely make an argument for top 3 as well. I've been banging this drum basically all season. Foden has been Man City's best player this season. And recently, he's been so clutch in terms of the goals and the assists for Man City in respective outputs, directly changing games in moments where we are losing or we are drawing. He's been the guy that we've looked to. And for that goal, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. He did not play as a winger. Too many times Foden was making the decision to take Lindelof down the byline and try to pop across him with his weak right foot. Foden's right foot isn't particularly that good in respect of his crossing, so I didn't like that he was playing like that. What we needed to see, if he was going to play more so on the right, he needed to be that almost false winger and actually cut inside more. As soon as he does that, things happen for City. As soon as he does that, Lindelof doesn't know where he's going. Obviously, people will say that Lindelof should do better in respect of tracking. He's a centre-back, a left-back at the end of the day. He's no Nathan Ake. He's not that guy. He's no Joško Gvardiol. He's not that guy. And that was a battleground that we should have focused on more. Earlier in the video, I said it was weird we tried to play Doku Dalot. We should have just focused Foden, Lindelof, or even Doku Lindelof. I would have maybe liked to have seen Doku on the right and have a go with him if the idea is to just take him to the byline and cross the ball in. As it was, Foden decided enough's enough. I'm going to pop the team on my back again, as he always has this season. And it is just a ridiculous finish. Again, you can talk about the closing down. It's a ridiculous goal, and it is what we deserved. And as I say, it's what we needed to get back into the game. And from there, it was business as usual. Nothing else really changed. in terms of like a United perspective, they didn't come out any more so than they had because they knew they were hanging on. Alvarez came on for Doku, and I thought that was a really interesting change. It's not the change I would have made. Not that anyone cares what I would do, because I'm not the manager. But if it was my decision, I think that Oscar Bob probably would have been a better call, because Doku, as we've discussed, wasn't really getting any joy 1v1 versus Dalot. He, in the moments where we needed him to just calm down and play the simple balls, he wasn't really making the right decisions. That is what I've just described there is Oscar Bob. Someone who will do all that. He's the closest thing to... He's very close to Grealish in that regard. But as it was, Alvarez came on, and that was very interesting. Bernardo seemed to go to the left for the most part, and Alvarez didn't play in midfield. If you go look at his touch map, for example, he did play very high. What I would describe more as the second striker position / role. If you go watch my most recent YouTube video on Julian Alvarez, which you should do after the stream, by the way. It's a very good video analysing what his best position is. Spoilers, his best position is second striker. The video goes into it in a bit more depth and detail, and it outlines why. And in a game against United, where it was clear all they were going to do was camp, and it's a harsh word, be cowards, be spineless. I'm going to use harsh words here. It's a Manchester derby at the end of the day. If they're going to do that, then you can afford to basically... Because my main issue with Alvarez in his biggest games is that if you play him in midfield, or you just have him on the pitch in general with Haaland, even if you play him as second striker, you lose the balance in the midfield. But the reality was that United were never going to... There was never any danger of United winning, or even remotely coming close to winning that midfield battle. So it meant you could sacrifice a forward player and just drop in... It meant you could sacrifice a midfield player and just play him slightly higher up the pitch. And we saw that work to great effect in the game for the second goal. If you watch Alvarez's starting position, he's not deep as he has been when he's played midfield. He's very advanced and high up the pitch. Foden goes to the left-hand side, left wing / left central midfield in that moment. And this is what I touched on earlier. The reason why we were able to score goals ultimately was because of... Score that goal ultimately, why Foden looked much more fluid, is because he was given more freedom to... Go start on the right, drift to the middle, drift to the left, drift back into the middle, even drop a little bit deep. It was a very Bernardo Silva-like performance from Foden in that respect. A very versatile performance from Foden, but added with the output of someone like a Kevin De Bruyne or something like that. And that's how the second goal was scored for Foden. He picks it up, as I say, on the left-hand side. Casemiro, massive question marks have got to be asked about Casemiro, by the way. He just watches as Foden, who is objectively... our best, who has been, I believe he's been one of, or if not our best carrier this season in terms of progressing the ball up the pitch via a carry. He just watches Foden carry the ball and move forwards without it, and then receive the 1-2 from Alvarez. And this is the Alvarez situation. Because if Alvarez is playing deeper and you need him to be creative in a sort of Bernardo Silva, like a David Silva way, he can't do that. But if you get him higher up the pitch and you allow him, if you limit him to marginal actions in respect to creativity that are quick, as it was for the goal, where it's just like, take the ball, touch in, run into Foden, he's very good at doing that. And that's how the goal was scored. And Onana gets a hand to it, but it's a lovely finish by Foden. Calm, composed in the derby. That's exactly what we are after. And that's ultimately what won us the game, this rotation of Foden ultimately being able to dismantle United by being given that freedom of position, not being limited to just the right, and as a touchline winger, being changed into a false winger, going to the left, going into the middle, dropping deep. That is how we won this game ultimately. So the substitution clearly works in that moment. It could have also worked if Bob was on the pitch, but as it was, United were not doing anything of any true danger, to be honest with you. So in that moment, it made sense to bring on Alvarez. As I say, not my first, that wouldn't be my first option, but I can understand why it happened. As I say, because of the lack of genuine threat from United. You know, it was a spineless performance from them. Let's be real. And then the third goal, yeah, that's the dagger. It's what we deserve. We deserve to win that game by more than one. 100%. That I predicted 4-1 before the game. That was much more like a 4-1, 5-1 game. In respect of performance, and Haaland makes up for that earlier miss, and thankfully he scores, because had we not won, there would be a massive inquest into Haaland and why he missed that chance. That being said, I still thought Haaland played well generally. His hold-up play was good, forcing fouls and dangerous positions from Varane, and despite the miss, even without the goal, he still played all right, didn't he? Let's touch on the chat now, shall we? Let's touch on the chat, because I've missed a lot. He cooked. Johnny Evans surprised me. He cooked. I'm not sure about that one, Tab. I really did like the Alvarez assist to Foden. Yes, it was fantastic. As I say, really tight, quick movements is what we want to see from Alvarez. Here's an interesting comment from Jack. I can't lie. Rashford might be one of the most embarrassing footballers I've seen in a long time. One lucky pop shot would be the only thing spoken about to man dropping. A 2 out of 10. I'm in total agreement with you, Jack. He was embarrassing in that game. He's supposed to be your best player, maybe. You could make an argument to say that he is at fault for our goal, because there's a moment where United are in on the counter-attack, and all Rashford has to do is be strong and wait for his teammates, and you might have a decent chance at goal. As it was, Walker does well defensively. Football's a contact sport, so he touches him, and Rashford falls over, begging it for a foul. It was really embarrassing. And from there, we go and get the, was it an equalizer, or was that the goal to get us put us in the front? I think it may have been the first goal. Either way, it certainly led to a goal, and it was a really weird decision making by Rashford. His touches were awful. He kept running the ball out of play. He kept crying over decisions he wasn't going to get. It was a very Bruno Fernandes performance from him. And yeah, he scored a world-class goal that, a very low probability goal. Fantastic. Looked very pretty. But he was really bad in the game. And if I'm a United fan, I'm fuming at his performance, as Gasky has been recently. He's been absolutely woeful. Absolutely woeful. Rashford really showed the haters saying he constantly ghosts. This time he got his goal and then ghosted, and that's the thing, because he scored the goal, and that's all anyone. That's all. If all you do is watch Match of the Day, that is all you will see. You'll see a Rashford world class finish, and you go, oh, he played well. No, he was really, really bad. And it's the same thing with the scoreline. Don't be deceived by the scoreline. 3-1 flatters United, and don't be deceived by that wonder goal, because his sofa score rating, I'm sure, is probably quite good, or his foot mob rating is probably all right. It's probably like a 7.3. I don't know. But he was very bad. Walker did play very well, to be fair. Walker was always going to have a good game against Rashford-like players. Yeah, and maybe that's why Walker did start, to be fair. Even though I personally prefer Akanji, and I probably would have started him, there is always the threat of the pace of Rashford. Even if he's having a bad game, and like today, he can still be a threat, either on the counter, in transition, long balls over the top, that sort of thing. So maybe it was the correct decision to play Walker, who, for the most part, I actually thought played very well, to be fair, did Kyle Walker. I've given him a lot of shtick, a lot of stick, but I will also applaud him when he played well, and I actually thought that Walker did really well and shut down Rashford very well. City had more shots than United had possession in the game. That is pathetic. That is really, really bad. Hello, Frankie. There's many times this season when City play freely and movement, midfield attacks are fluid. Pep's been showing glimpses of it. I don't know why he's not doubling down on it. And that's how we made the most of our chances in that second half, Frankie. Totally agree. I've touched on it before. Foden, is he on the right? Is he on the left? Is he in the middle? Is he deep? You can't really. It's very hard to mark him and defend against him when he's given that sort of freedom and when he's allowed to interchange with De Bruyne in that respect. Walker's been getting his long shots on target at least lately. Oh, whenever Walker, he does that stupid little run up, doesn't he? It's like and it's not going to go in. I think he's got like a 2% conversion rate as a Man City footballer. I think. Or no, maybe I think it's even worse than that. I think the stat is, on average, the XG of his shots is 0.02. So every time he takes a long shot, on average, he's shooting a 2% chance to score. So I don't really get what he's doing. But there we have it. Rashford seeing so much hate from United fans when the guys at Man United graduates carried his time so bad. He's been a scapegoat for the bad management. I don't know. I think a lot has to be made of his bad performances, Ricardo. If people are getting personal with him, I didn't watch the interview that he did. If people are getting personal with him and his family, that's disgusting. That should never happen. But in respect of output and performances on the pitch, you can criticise him, and he has been terrible. Hello, Jacob. Yes, we talked about Haaland, but we also talked about his dagger at the end of the game and his general overall play, to be fair. And if you guys ever needed evidence that these scoring accumulating websites have any credence or value, if this is true, just let that be known that these websites ratings literally mean nothing, because he was awful today, and yet he might be like man of the match according to this thing from United perspective. Do you see Foden tracking back? Yeah, and that's also what Foden added to his game, and has been adding to his game. Defensive work rate, tenacity, tackles, making the right decisions. Phil Foden. Yeah, let's really have a conversation about. Let's really have that conversation now, shall we? How many players this season can we name in the Premier League that have been like definitely better than Foden? I think you'd struggle to name more than 3. I really do. I think that Van Dijk definitely, that's fine. But I genuinely, Declan Rice maybe, but I would genuinely struggle to name more names. I think he is in the top 3 in respect of that's Mrs. Nobbins, sorry. There we go. I apparently have my phone connected to the speaker. Apparently it was playing music or something. In respect of, what am I saying? Mrs. Nobbins, you ruined my flow, you fraud. Oh yeah, in terms of like, who is in the top 3 best players in the Premier League this season. He's definitely been up there. He is... I'm sort of like running out of ways to describe how good he has been this season, and like the different strings we are seeing added to his bow. This is now his highest goal scoring season as well. So Foden's never been a player who is solely about output, but he can have a good game without having a goal or an assist. But this season is either his most productive season or it's one of his most productive. He will end the season. He will end the season in terms of this being his most productive season, having the most goals and the most assists. And it does come at a perfect time when we've had a taste of what life will be without De Bruyne this season. It's going to come sooner rather than later. We need other players to step up and take on that mantle and take on that output as well. Because again, De Bruyne. Very good in respect of just the numbers as well, even if he doesn't have a good game. So it's very vital and important that Foden is now stepping up and becoming that guy. The maturity in his game, his pressing, his defensive work rate, the decision making, the fact that he can play basically anywhere across that forward area of the pitch, and obviously the brilliance when he's allowed to play centrally, as the second goal was scored. Technically, he was like a left winger, but he actually drove. It was very Jack Grealish, that move. He started left wing, but he drove centrally into the middle. Foden's playing himself into Ballon d'Or contention, says the stuff. It totally depends on what City win. If City win the Premier League and the Champions League, then genuinely there will be a conversation. If not, then no. It basically these all basically go down to who wins the Champions League usually. So it says, can we have a conversation about how De Bruyne has looked bad on his free kicks this season? Our set pieces haven't been particularly dangerous outside the one great De Bruyne to Alvarez pass it in. I actually thought De Bruyne played bad. I thought he was borderline poor today, in fairness. But as I just touched on then, De Bruyne is one of those players where he can play badly. It doesn't often happen. He can, badly is a harsh word, subpar, but he can still get a goal or an assist and win the game. For example, he should have had an assist today. If Foden buries that chance, which he should bury when he's 1v1 versus Onana, that goes down as a De Bruyne assist. That goes down as the equalizer. Maybe then we're having that conversation. But just like in terms of set pieces, which is what this is about. Well, no, actually, your question's about free kicks, but just extending it to set pieces. We just need to get better at them. I don't know what else to say other than that. It doesn't matter who seems to be on them, whether it's Alvarez or Foden or De Bruyne. We are pretty toothless when it comes to corners. I can't get excited when we get a corner because unless we play it short and manipulate a chance from there, our delivery is just really weird. Is really bad, which is weird considering we have such good midfielders who are fantastic at crossing on the pitch. We just can't seem to put a decent ball in, which is very, very unusual. Guys, if you're enjoying the stream video, please leave a like on it. We've still got over 200 people here, which is insane. Thank you so much, guys. And you need to leave a like so I know to keep doing these post-mortems. If I see lots of likes, then I will know that we need to keep doing these if you are enjoying them. Smoker Pap says, Liverpool expose Pep tactics and this team. Well, if we play like... Well, we won't be able to play like today because Liverpool won't back off and be like massive, like low block cowards, to be fair. So we won't be able to play like that. But this game has... I feel really bad because I feel like we keep talking about it, but it has just demonstrated that Doku should not be... he's clearly not ready in the most cases to be starting these big games, and he definitely should not be starting at Anfield, in my opinion. I still want Nunes, to be honest. Musty, I still want Mateus Nunes. Hello, Lazy Unicorn. De Bruyne can play bad or average in the game, but the whole team's playing inferior football without him on the field. Same with Rodri. And that's why you keep him on the pitch. Even if he's having a bad game, he can come up with something quite easily. That's why you keep him on, even if he's not playing so well, because, you know, he just needs one moment to score a screamer or play an unbelievable cross or play an unbelievable through ball. He's a game breaker. That's why you keep him on the pitch, because he will win you games, as I say, even if he's playing badly or subpar. Badly is a harsh word today. Subpar relative to what I would expect from a Kevin De Bruyne performance. Shall we maybe talk about what does this mean for... what if we do what we did with Alvarez today against Liverpool? Well, Alvarez didn't really exclusively play at left wing. It was more so in central areas. So I still wouldn't be starting Alvarez. The best dribbling will got locked by Della, and Doku's been struggling since his injury. Basically, he's playing more so how I would expect him to play in his first season, and that's why I'm surprised it's being popped into these massive games, because he's very young and raw and is not quite ready yet. I think he will be next season, and thereafter. So it's excited for the next game. It's trophy decided. If we want the trophy, we need to win the next game at Anfield. And that's why it was so crucial that we won today. If we didn't get the win today, then we would have had to have won at Anfield, which is something that we do not do as a club. So we've given ourselves... Well, we actually still are behind them, and that's why their late undeserved winner against Forest is really annoying. Because we could have gone to Anfield knowing that, right, we can afford to draw, and then if we beat Arsenal, then we're in good stead. As it stands, we've either got to win or hope that Liverpool drop more points than us from now until the end of the season. And in terms of the run-in, I think that most people would say that Liverpool have a more favourable run-in. So... can you really take that risk of assuming that Liverpool will drop points? Will they drop more points? That's why the Anfield game is going to be fascinating. How will Pep set us up? Will he feel he needs to win the game, or will he go, it's Anfield, it's very tricky, we need to just go for a draw. Obviously, if we lose, that's curtains for me, because I don't see us being 4 points better than Liverpool from that point until the end of the season. So if we lose, in my opinion, it's done. The title race, and you can say, well, there's still like 10 games left. I don't care. I don't see Liverpool losing and drawing, or drawing and drawing, and even then their goal difference is better. So it's a must not lose, obviously, and it's just interesting. I actually don't know the answer of, is it a must win or not? In theory, they might not win all their games, but also we might not win all our games from there. We've still got to play Arsenal at home. We've still got to go away to Spurs. We've still got to host Aston Villa. We've still got to go away to Brighton and Forest, I believe. So it's going to be very interesting. And also, storyline of, there is no Alisson, there is no Trent, who have been two of Liverpool's best players this season. Will you get a better chance to get a victory at Anfield in a scenario where you might need to win? So it's a massive question mark. But what I am happy with, as John here says, it is a must win. Jay also says it's a must win. Here we go. With two of the highest away games, Liverpool Spurs in the running. The feature's not set. Indeed, Ricardo. Indeed, the rest of Liverpool's fixtures after us are very easy. I think Anfield is a must win. Here, most people here seem to think that it is a must win. Of course, I love Foden. Ethan, he is the boy. Yeah, John saying we need to win at Anfield. What I will say is that, thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube. If you aren't subscribed, by the way, guys, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to leave a like on the video and the stream. Yeah, like Danny's doing. There you go. Look at that. You can make me do that. What I have been happy with is that we are seeing City in recent games. You can say that we've been playing bad opposition in Man United and Luton, and but the signs are definitely there that we are coming back in terms of the performances that you would expect from a Pep Guardiola City team. It is much more similar to what we were doing last season in that respect. I said we needed the United game to be a bit of a springboard, certainly in terms of results and the certain in terms of result and the performance. I think we've definitely got that. The Luton game was also that as well, in fairness. So we've set ourselves up really nicely for this title run-in. And as I say, what I am seeing now is City. We are, and I don't think it's a coincidence that realistically coincides with the fact that John Stones has come back into the team, because he just provides so much on-ball security and technical security, and also defensive solidity as well. He is up there with Rodri in terms of being our most important players. And it's not a coincidence that we just look so much better with him on the pitch than not. We are actually starting to look more like the treble winners, and we have done for the past few games. That has come at a really good time. As I say, the only issue is that when we had that slip up earlier in the season, when we had that really weird run where we lost to Villa, we drew at home against Palace, against Spurs, against Liverpool, we drew at Chelsea, etc. Has that chunk of the season damaged the season to a point where this is too little too late? Or are there actually enough games to get back up to where we know we can be in terms of level in the table? And also just in respect of getting consecutive results and performances. At the end of the day, we haven't lost since that Villa game, which is mental. Musty says we only have 2 wins against big 6 clubs this season, and that's why, again, it was so crucial. Both of those have been against United, actually. And that's why it was so crucial, because we're about to play Liverpool and we're about to play Arsenal. We need to... this had to be a springboard. That's exactly what it has been, which has been... it's been a beautiful to see. It does give me genuine optimism that we can now crack on and give this title race a proper run. And I've been a little bit dubious in recent weeks, like the Chelsea result, for example, even the second half Bournemouth performance. It's been very concerning. It was very concerning. However, I think, again, I don't think it's a coincidence that's coincided with Pep now trying to play more so the treble-winning team, by actually having midfielders in midfield, for example, by actually having John Stones in the John Stones role. These were things we've touched on throughout the season, saying that it's bad that Alvarez is playing midfield, and it's bad that Akanji's playing where Stones should be playing. You make those two small changes, and look at what we turn into. We absolutely battered Man United. 3-1, as I've said before, is incredibly flattering to them. We need to keep the performances going. We now need to batter Copenhagen comfortably. Hopefully we can rest a couple of players. I don't expect Pep to do wholesale changes because at the end of the day, it is still a Champions League knockout game. I know we've got a 2-goal lead, but anything can happen. So I don't think he's going to, rest everyone. I think that a couple... Oh, well, in fact, I think that most of the starters will be first choice. You'd expect to see at Anfield as well. Liverpool, conversely, they play away in the Europa League. Will they just totally rest players? It'll be interested to see their squad. Will they take Salah and Van Dijk and all these other players too away? It's in Prague, isn't it? I think. Will they even bother taking them? Because it is only the Europa League at the end of the day. That'd be an interesting one. If only Grealish wasn't injured, indeed. I was a bit concerned because Foden went down, didn't he? But that just seemed to be more like an impact. He seemed to be fine, to be fair, so that's lovely. I have a feeling that we beat Liverpool next Sunday, says Megamind. I hope that's big brain thinking from you, because we certainly might need to... Well, we need to beat them in order to have the title in our own hands, that's for sure. Ethan says, if we beat Liverpool at Anfield and beat Arsenal at home, Liverpool will be kicking themselves because they didn't capitalise early on in the season. Look, if we win those 2 games, then we win the title, definitely, in my opinion, 100%. It's just a massive if, and Anfield is a big one. I expect us to beat Arsenal at home because we are at home. And in fact, I probably would have expected us to maybe beat Arsenal if we had our full team at the Emirates. As it was, we didn't. But we obviously do this time, barring any new injuries. City, Liverpool, and Arsenal, the league is ours, hopefully so. Beatrice, hopefully so. Hello, Anshaman. Gundogan used to direct the players during the game and the different phase of play. It's not so easy to replace. It only comes with experience. We've definitely missed Gundogan this season 100%. It'll be so sad if we don't do the 4P. I know we have first world problems as City fans. Yeah. Oh, we only did 3 in a row. What a shame. Holland needs to improve. Thank you so much for following Fresh. Holland needs to improve in key tap-ins, and he does, Aziz. He absolutely does. Kushik, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, 100%. He has not been good this season from a finishing perspective. I've discussed this many times. Still think he's actually maybe been better overall, but certainly in terms of being clinical and finishing this season, he's not been it. Not the same as he's not clinical, as some people have tried to suggest on Twitter. That's not correct. Putting a poll saying why stream is liking the bold is very bold. Thank you, Village. Thank you for the likes. Liverpool game is very important, as he's 100%. To be more clinical indeed. People call him a tapping merchant so much that he can't score tap-ins now, says Lazy Unicorn. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, quote, being a tapping merchant, first of all, because a goal is a goal at the end of the day. However, he is so much more than that, and we've seen that this season in respect of hold-up and link-up play. If we took our chances, it would have been 8-1. And that's why, if anyone tries to tell you guys that United played well today and that they defended resolutely and that they can be proud of their defensive performance, no, do not let them have that, because that is a lie and that is bollocks, okay? And I will tell you why. If you give Erling Haaland a tap-in opportunity, you have not defended well. You have literally forfeited what should be a 100% goal every single time. Same thing with the 1v1 with Foden. You've not defended well if you give up big chance after big chance in one half of football. The fact that they only conceded 3 does not mean that they defended well or played well. They were very poor in the game. So there we go. Do you see any chance of getting Gvardiol back in the defence? I don't expect to see him against Liverpool at Anfield. I think that would be a mistake. We know that Ake has locked up Salah in the past. I expect it to be a similar thing. I rate Gvardiol very highly. That's certainly not the game to do it. How poor is Haaland? Mage? I don't know what that means. Oh, mate. There we go. Well, as we discussed, yes, it was a miss, but I don't think it was necessarily bad in the game overall. And his goal was harder than the chances he missed. So it was clearly just like a brain fart moment he just like got his timing wrong in respect of the kick or whatever. Asant says Arsenal have an easy run. Well, they've got to come to the Etihad. They do have to come to the Etihad, to be fair. Foden for Ballon d'Or. If City win the Champions League, that will be a genuine conversation, because that's what the Ballon d'Or is usually about. It's about whether you win your league title. It's about how well you do in the Champions League. So, you know, if, for example, City win the Champions League and Foden plays well in the final or scores in the final, then yeah, he probably will win the Ballon d'Or, in all honesty. Gary Neville said they defended well, says Ian. Yeah, I disagree with that for the most part. I thought Varane, on an individual level, did play well. I thought maybe Dalot as well, but certainly in terms of like what I would have expected from the midfield, in terms of like supports, like from like Casemiro, I thought Kobe Mainoo was suspect defensively. He kept giving away the ball. It wasn't a very good game by Mainoo. Yeah, they were not good defensively. Again, you can't have played well defensively if you give Erling Haaland a tap-in. Same thing with the Chelsea game, like when the 1-1, people were talking about Disasi's good individual display. It was good, no doubt about it, but in terms of the overall defense of the team, if you give big chance after big chance after big chance after big chance to the player who scored more Premier League goals than anyone this season, then you haven't defended well. You've got lucky. You can't... unless you're mental as a manager, you can't legislate and assume that Haaland's going to miss a big chance. Like, well, we'll give up some big chances, but it's all right because Haaland will miss the tap-in. You can't assume that an opposition striker is going to miss a big chance like that. And I thought that, in fact, I saw like on Twitter or whatever, at halftime, you know, some people trying to suggest that, you know, Ten Hag, he's got the tactics right so far. The game plan's brilliant. What game plan? Do you mean the game plan of score a world-class finish out of nowhere and hope that the opposition misses 2 massive chances to score and just defend for your lives? That's not a game plan. That's hope, and that is luck. So, if I mean, just a minor point, if I'm a United fan, I don't even know what I think about Ten Hag at this point. Quite frankly, you can say what else could he have done? United weren't very good last season, but they still were able to play well in the first half at Old Trafford. But they were just pathetic today, to be honest. Hello, Joe. Arsenal fan, I reckon will smash you at the Etihad. That's very bold, Joe. I hope you're wrong. Well done, you beat a team with Anthony. Doesn't mean anything. Yeah, Anthony came on and did nothing. Oscar Bomb, Rico Lucius start in the Champions League versus Copenhagen. I'd love to see them start. I'd love to see them start. I totally agree. Haaland decided not to do his tap-ins this season, to be fair. That goal would have ruined his goal catalogue, yeah. Rest Haaland Wednesday, says John. It definitely depends, because I would like players to maybe get some minutes just from like a sharpness perspective, because they need to be at it. You know, sometimes too much rest can be too much. So if players are even remotely tired or fatigued, then I don't want to see them. I do not want to see them starting 100%. Goals in the last 4 Manchester derbies. Phil Foden 6, Man United 6. That is crazy. And yeah, the 2 players who got hat tricks last season at the Etihad missed 2 big chances in the first half, and then bury the game in the second. Our corner routine is poor. I don't really know, because it shouldn't be, should it? Like, I feel like set pieces should be quite easy to figure out, because it's set. And yeah, we haven't really been able to do that. I know Foden's worked himself into Ballon d'Or conversation, but my leader is Rodri. Well, in my opinion, Foden's been better than Rodri this season, but again, I can see why people would say Rodri instead. Instead of concentrating on us, focus on Porto, because you might bottle it as W. I expect Arsenal to beat Porto, but we shall see. The only way to stop City is the 3 red teams try hard to make 115 a reality. Football is won on the playing surface. Yeah, football is played on grass at the end of the day. Imagine if Liverpool win and that happens, then I'll say it again, that is lights out for City's title race. I'm very convinced of that, and Liverpool will win the title, in my opinion. Convinced Ten Hag's trying to get sacked. Brilliant. Oh, we've still got 200 people here, which is insane. Again, don't go anywhere. Make sure to leave a like on the video and stream if you are enjoying it. I don't know how many likes we're on. In fact, I can check. We are on 226 likes, which is fantastic, guys. Can we get 250 somehow? If we've got some people here who haven't yet liked it, get out the chat, click the X on the chat, Leave a like on the video. Let's see if we can get to 250 whilst we are live here. Megaman says, and keep your comments coming in because, as I say, this is a conversation rather than a one-way thing where I just speak at you and want to speak to you guys. Supposing we beat Liverpool and Arsenal and proceed to the quarterfinals, will we win another treble? If that happened, then we should. Because that would mean that we would be, I don't know how many points above Arsenal, but we would be 2 points ahead of Liverpool. And then from there, yeah, we've obviously got to outplay them and win our games. So we should do, in all honesty. But will that happen? That's the question. Better Alvarez on the wing instead of Bernardo, says Eric. If you are going to play Alvarez, if it's like, you guys know, I want him to play at second striker if he is going to play. So don't want him in the big games. But if you're going to play Alvarez in the big games, then sure, pop him on the wing where he can be a pressing threat, but he's not going to get in the way of the build-up. What do you think of KDB today? Yeah, Santiago, we touched on De Bruyne's performance today. I thought he wasn't great. I'd like to know his passing accuracy. I know that's not a really good way to measure De Bruyne's performance because players who try to make things happen will always lose the ball more. So that's a bit of a fake stat. But even simple stuff, he wasn't really doing very well. There were some simple crosses where I thought the delivery was really unusual. Hopefully, that's just like a bit of rust or whatever, and hopefully he'll be fine for Anfield because we need him at it for Anfield. 100%. Thank you so much. The stuff I like him. Excellent for Foden there. He knows what a derby means. I said before to other lads, he'll be our most important player today, and he was pulled. And he was Foden pulled us out of the shit. Yes, totally. He is insane, and he's got so much to his game. He can shoot, he can pass, he can carry, he can defend, he can track, he can drop deep, he can build up. He's becoming that guy this season. This has easily been his best season. I said that sort of like, a few weeks into the season that this has so far been his best. People are like, oh, what about the 2020-21 season? No, this has easily been his best. Certainly his most mature, and he needs to be because he's no longer a young player. Foden's 23. He's going to be, I think he's 24 in a couple months. So he's no longer in the category of young player for me. I don't know what the official category is, like being nominated for like young player of the year, but he needed this because it's no longer good enough to be, oh, he's good for a youth player. He's good considering his age. He just needs to be good at this stage. And obviously he's more than good. He's excellent. But that is fantastic to see. I totally agree. Lazy Unicorn says, rivals are praying for 115 gods. Well, let's take it one step at a time, shall we? Worst out Doku versus Liverpool? Absolutely not. Absolutely not for me. I want Nunes, Bob, and then Doku. I want Doku to come on as an option. I'd like to see Doku start against Copenhagen, maybe. Just cause. But yeah, I definitely don't want him there. I think we're Champions League and FA Cup favourites. The Prem will be tough. It will, absolutely. Yeah, the take on Doku's game was that he was very wasteful. And he does need to calm it down a little bit. And he just needs to chill out. And I can't remember. I don't know if I've said this on one of my shows before. I think I may have done. I definitely said it on another channel that I was on. Doku is very unpredictable, which sounds good, but if your own teammates don't know what you're about to do because you're so unpredictable, that's an issue because Haaland won't know where to make his runs. He won't know whether to go near post. He won't know whether to go far. He won't know whether to drop deep or whatever because he can't read his own teammates' passing or crossing or decision making. So yeah, Doku is definitely still a player who needs time. As I knew he would. To be fair, if you watch my Doku video, I did say that I don't expect him to be brilliant in his first season. Basically every single winger under Pep Guardiola at City has required at least a season before we see the really good version of themselves. Lovely win today. The Musiala link, you think could happen? We don't need Musiala. We've got Phil Foden at home. It's like a Verts. We've got Foden at home. We don't need these players. I don't think they're the sort of profile that we're after, or should be after, in my opinion. Imagine see if we win 7-up versus Liverpool. Yeah, that's not happening. That's going to be a low-scoring game if City are going to win it anyway. I'm happy Foden's having this kind of season, making him undroppable. I was getting worried he'd never fit into Pep's lineups. Well, Pep clearly had this planned. I still think he's made mistakes with Foden this season by making him a touchline winger at times, but overall, clearly the plan has worked. De Bruyne is letting young players gain experience off corners as important as Alvarez taking corners. You would think that De Bruyne would be much better at them, but there we go. These Foden Saka debates need to stop. Foden wins the game in big Manchester derby. Tantare Saka wouldn't be able to do the same. I'm of the view that they're both very good players, but in my opinion, Foden is the better player. Last season was the only season where, in my opinion, Saka was better than Foden, and Foden was injured. So, yeah. That's my... You don't have to agree with that. That's absolutely fine. KDB has himself said he's not yet fit enough to play 90 minutes every 3 days, and that's why he must not play against Copenhagen, that's for sure. Yes, Colour. Nobody cares. We're not all 4 years old and think being a red or blue really makes a difference. Do you go to primary school and have a red on the side? I don't know what that means, Josh. I'm sorry. Foden Verts is a must. I need it, and I think I deserve it. From what I know about Verts, he's a pocket player. He sounds to basically be like Foden. We don't need two of them. We need different profiles. Thoughts on De Bruyne on the left. Why do you think Pep did that? Well, I mean, De Bruyne has been roaming a lot this season, to be fair. I didn't see him too much on the left, to be fair. I feel like for the most part he was either on the right or he was sort of like right of centre. But yeah, like that's what I do want to see from De Bruyne in this freer role. Thank you so much for following, lock and subscribing to the channel. I do want to see him be given this more free role, as we saw against Newcastle. It makes it almost impossible for the opposition to figure out what he's going to do. Lovely. The score doesn't reflect the dominance, says Nigel. I'm in total agreement with you there, mate. They got very, very lucky because they should have been. If you had to say what should the score have been in terms of, like, you know, the quality of the chances for both sides, I think probably 5-0 is probably a fair reflection, because their goal, as I say, was like it shouldn't have happened from like a probability standpoint, and we missed so many clear-cut chances. Do you see Goldbridge moaning about the ref? What's he said about the ref? If that's in terms of like the Walker touch on Rashford, the complaint should be firmly at the door of Rashford for going down that easily, like a ragdoll, and just allowing City to go up the other end and ultimately score. City's imaginary squad that says can play De Bruyne wide and Foden inside for some spells, and that's what I want to see. I want to see fluidity. I want to see not necessarily Foden out and out right wing. I want to see sometimes De Bruyne on the right, sometimes Foden, sometimes they go into the middle, maybe sometimes they interchange with Bernardo as well. Makes it really tricky for the opposition to track our players' movements. It makes it easier to create chances as well. Anything else that I want to touch on in this game? I feel like we've been chatting for an hour, so I feel like we probably want to wrap it up shortly. Get your questions in, guys. If you have any final things you'd like me to touch on and comment on, I think I've covered everything there. In fairness, I've covered everything there. Foden, masterclass, one of the best players in the league. Some people would argue the best. I don't know if I go that far yet, but he's certainly top 3 in my opinion. City, have we got our mojo back? It certainly seems that way. Massive test coming up at Anfield, obviously. There'll be a watch along for that, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And anything else to touch on? No, I don't think so. I think like the summary is Foden was fantastic. Haaland still needs to get back into it in respect to finishing his dinner. Walker played well defensively. Thought he was good. Thought City defensively today were good. Rodri imperious as ever. John Stones is John Stones. If Foden didn't score the goals today, I probably would. There will be an analysis video on the derby as well, by the way. I probably would have made the attention more so John Stones, but I can't ignore Foden's brilliant performance. Doku's still a bit raw, needs to do better. Bernardo was fine. And yeah, hopefully just like a one-off, not great bit of work by Kevin De Bruyne. The Ederson tackle was brilliant, by the way. Sorry, are some people genuinely trying to make that into something? I know, and I'm sure no one here thinks that because we are of sound body and mind, but are people actually trying to say that? Like, Ederson clearly wins the ball, and it's a very good tackle from Ederson. Like, clearly, it's very clean. If anyone's trying to say that would be hilarious to me. That would be hilarious if people think that. Well, that's ridiculous, and if they actually do think that. Rico Nunes Kova to start next game is against Copenhagen Itahi. I think I agree. Gorbich thinks they played well defensively and lost because of the ref. Well, he is misguided if he thinks that, because that is objectively wrong. When teams playing bad, their last resort is ref decisions in their favour. The referee was fine today. In fact, the referee should have booked their players more for time wasting and play acting. Like, no idea how Onana got away without being booked. No idea how Lindelof got away with the amount of fouls he did on Foden. Outside of that, I thought the ref had a decent game. Yeah, he had no bearing in respect of the goals. If he actually, there's no way he actually thinks that. If he's sane, there's no way he actually thinks that. And there you go, he's doing it for the clicks, no doubt. And that's the issue, guys. When people don't care enough about their credibility, that's because, like, what's the point of listening to him if he's saying that? Because you can't believe what else he says. Because it's like, well, are you saying that for a reaction, or are you saying it because you actually believe it? That's why I only ever say things I actually believe and think are reasonable. Otherwise, why would you guys watch me? What would be the point of watching me if I don't actually have any credibility? So it's not a foul. It's just pathetic. And if people are actually complaining about that, then they actually just need to. I don't actually know what they need to do. Football ain't for you, I guess. I don't know. Then the rest were a little generous to us. They should have been booked for time wasting. Yeah, exactly. I thought the referee was fine outside of, like, the time wasting errors, in my opinion. Guys, thank you so much for watching. All my socials are in the descriptions. For example, we also live stream on Twitch. My username is LNobbins. That's where we do more so gaming and stuff. There will be a watch along of the Copenhagen game and the Anfield game coming up. So if you aren't subscribed, make sure to do so to stay tuned. If you want to go the extra mile, and you can do, there is a link in the pinned comment of the chat where you can become a channel member. It's £3 a month, which works out as 10p a day. And you get lovely perks, like you get a nice gold name badge here. Thank you so much for following, Fusk. You get a nice little gold name badge here. Your name will be actually in the credits of all my YouTube videos at the end of my analysis videos. Stay tuned for the analysis video as well. I'll try to release that tomorrow on the Manchester Derby. How Phil Foden dismantled Man United is probably going to be the title. And yes, you get your lovely emotes, you get credits, you get priority replies in the comments, that sort of thing. And you also get to support me. And as I say, it's £3 a month. If you can do that, click the pinned comment if you want a bit more information on it. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining. We've had over 200 people on average here, which has been brilliant. I think at one point we got to like 250. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and allowing me to continue doing this as my full-time job. Until next time, guys, I'm off. Manchester's blue. Come on.